Welcome to your baby club. Oh my god, the place is a state. There's puppies everywhere. But you're all used to me by now, I think, with my crazy things going on. So I want you to hit me with loads of questions and I will try and answer them as best I can. While my dog, hello Louise, my dog's chewing me with a tube. It's not good, is it? So the puppies, the three that were going have gone. That was traumatic, to say the very least. It was traumatic. But I've got through it and I'm all right. Well, the other side. But I did howl. It was like giving your pets away. Horrible. Is it true after birth for the first time going to the toilet is painful? So it's going to be uncomfortable. Let me just sort that out. I would say it's probably likely to sting. That's enough. That is enough. Just behave. In terms of opening your bowels, you can find that it is going to be difficult, but purely because, so especially if you have a cesarean section, women are much more prone to being constipated after that. So you're really keeping up on top of your hydration and your fluid intake. Well, your fluid intake and your nutrition is really important. With regards to the front area, it's going to sting a bit. So quite a lot of people get a bottle of warm water, just warm tap water, and as you're having a wee, pour it down. It just dilutes things a little bit, so that might be helpful. With regards to opening your bowels, you've just got to remember that although it feels like it's all in the same area, your front and your back are actually separated. So you're not going to burst open stitches or that sort of thing by opening your bowels. But it's going to be, it's just a bit of a facer for most mums, and they're just like, oh, so glad that's done. And then after that, you're absolutely fine. How long is recovery after birth? Again, that's a bit of a how long is a piece of string. So it depends on how much blood loss you have. It depends on how long your labour was. There's lots of things that can sort of determine how long it takes you to recover. And you will recover, stop it, you will recover in stages. So you will get, I don't know why your baby club used me. I don't know why they use me. You'll find that things will get better. Your bleeding will slow over time. So after about a week to 10 days, you start to see that your bleeding's getting less and less, and it's becoming more, rather than bright red fresh blood, it's browner blood. So that's a, so I would say probably that 6-week check mark is a good pointer for sort of feeling a bit more like your old self. But in terms of being back to where you were before you had your baby, a fair few months. 31 weeks and baby is measuring 27 centimetres. When I went to my 28-week check, I was also measuring 27, which means it hasn't grown. Should I be worried? This is my first pregnancy, so I'm unsure. I would hope that they've sent you for a scan with that growth. But what you need to remember is that measurement by the abdomen with the tape measure is very subjective. There's a big margin, not for error, but for user variance and that sort of thing. So most of the time when we send people for scans, you go for a scan and the sonographer says, you know what, growth looks perfect. So try not to worry too much until they tell you that, you know, that they are worried. But if your baby is growing slowly, they will just keep an eye on you. They'll keep an eye on the placental function. So yeah, I mean, we're right to keep a track on it and keep looking. But my theory is don't worry until you're told to worry. So yeah, but hopefully, if they haven't sent you for a scan though, I would push back and say, I've not seemingly had any growth for quite a few weeks. I'd like a scan. My little boy is 3 weeks old and is struggling to pass wind and bowel movements. We've tried tummy massages, cycling legs and water, and it's not working. Is there anything else we can try? I wouldn't be giving him water. That won't be what's causing the problem, and it can impact feeding, so I would avoid giving water. You could try cranial osteopathy. They often will really help. Holds like Tiger in the Tree, where you hold your baby sort of on their tummy. Have a think about doing the newborn baby Buddha workshop that we do, which really does help with all these sort of things, and is a starting point for doing baby massage to help with things like wind and stuff. But one thing I would say is just try not to worry, because these things do sort of rectify themselves over time. It's just their body adapting to outside world, really. How early can you lose your mucus plug without it meaning you will have preterm birth? My sister gave birth at 30 weeks but didn't realise her losing her plug was a worrying sign. The thing is, you can lose your mucus plug early. I would say if you've lost it at 28 weeks, there is a higher risk probably of preterm labour. But we're not really going to act on things. You know, we wouldn't do anything. They may have scanned her and that sort of thing. In terms of how early you can lose your mucus plug without it meaning preterm labour, it's not. It's impossible to say. Some people do lose their mucus plug at say 30 weeks, but then go on to 37 weeks. You just don't know, unfortunately. I'm currently in my 3rd trimester and this is my 2nd period pregnancy. I'm experiencing a lot of excess body hair, including on my face, breast and bottom. Does this go away after birth? Yes, it should do. It's an increase in the hormones and yes, it should do. And you often find that women, their hair is much more, they've got a lot more hair in general right the way through their pregnancy because the life cycle of what's going on with your hair changes. And then after they have their baby, women are in an absolute panic because they feel like all their hair's dropping out. But what they're doing is actually shedding the hair that they have sort of retained throughout pregnancy. So yes, it really should go away. I have recently found out that I'm pregnant with my 2nd child. I am suffering with awful morning sickness and tiredness, which didn't start until I was 15 weeks last time, but I think I'm around 6 weeks. Do you have any good tips and tricks to help ease the morning sickness without tablets, as these make me drowsy? Well, I mean, I can't prescribe you tablets. What I would say though is if the sickness is becoming debilitating and you really can't keep anything down and, you know, it's really horrendous, you really do need to go to your doctor because otherwise you'll end up in hospital with dehydration. You could try travel sickness bands, you could try acupuncture, you could try ginger, you could try arrowroot biscuits. So they've got like a herby biscuit. You would get it from, you should be able to get them from like Tesco's. You could make sure that you are eating little and often, that you're trying to rest as much as you can, which is not going to be easy with another baby around. What else is there? Peppermint. So if you get some aromatherapy oil of peppermint and a traditional fan like this, just put some drops of peppermint oil and just do this. It just clears your airway a little bit and can help with nausea. Any other top tips? I think that's about it for my top tips. That's about it. Peppermint tea. So that was a flurry of questions. Now this is where people say to me, I've put a question in and you can't see it. Anybody else put a question in that I'm not seeing? Don't forget that if you've not already signed up to my free antenatal class, they run every Saturday and every Monday. So they continue to be free throughout the pandemic. Those of you that are really early in pregnancy, we have launched the early pregnancy workshop. So that might be helpful for anybody who's under 12 weeks of pregnancy. That one isn't free, it's £20, but in that we go through what you can expect in terms of your appointments, scans, what we're looking for, that sort of thing. I'm just getting you the link here. Yeah, it's a really good class and it covers all bases, and that's run with our other midwife, Gina, who's fabulous. Slightly bonkers, but we all like a bit of bonkers. So yeah, there you go. There is the link for that. What else have I got to tell you? So another one that's been coming up quite a lot really recently is about the COVID jab. Had my 2nd one yesterday. Had my 2nd jab yesterday. I have to say it is something and nothing when you go, although the queue was a bloody mile long. That was painful. But all I've got today, and the same as last time, is a really stiff arm. I do feel like someone's given me a dig. Might have been Keithy, you never know. But obviously when you're pregnant or you're trying to conceive, all those sort of things, it's really understandable that you're going to be thinking, is this the right thing to do? Is it not the right thing to do? Anybody who wants to listen to it, there is an Instagram live on The Honest Midwife where I talk to our obstetrician, Matt, and we debate the vaccine. But my feeling on it is that it's your personal choice, and you should be and will be supported whatever you decide to do. But there is no logical reason when and this is what's been explained to me by sort of doctors and stuff, is that when you look at how the vaccine works, in that it's not a live vaccine, it works in a very similar way to what our flu vaccines work, which we've been given to pregnant women for a long time. Excuse me. When we look at how that works, there isn't any logical reason to think that it would be any less safe than the flu vaccine to have. And also we know now that the risks associated with having the COVID vaccination, sorry, the risks associated with contracting COVID, especially later on in pregnancy, far outweigh any perceived risks of having the vaccine. It's very controversial, becoming more controversial, I think, as we go down the road. And so that's why I'm always very much like, whatever you decide to do is right by you. But for me personally, I would have the vaccine. I held off having it. I know you can't tell, but I'm 44. I could have had mine back in April. And the reason I held off was because I'd had COVID in November and I was really quite poorly. I really did feel quite ropey and really struggled with my breathing. And so I held off thinking, actually, I want to sort of get those antibodies out of my system because I didn't want the vaccine to make me feel even worse. And when I went to have the vaccine, they said, well, that's ridiculous. That wouldn't happen anyway. But even so, that was my reason and rationale for waiting. And so I did wait and I waited. And then my friend's dad, sadly, is in hospital at the moment, seriously poor. He's been in intensive care now for about 7 weeks. And that was the final thing for me. I was like, right, I need to go and get vaccine. And I am now doubly vaccinated, and I actually do feel really quite good about the fact that I've had my vaccine and I'm fine, other than the fact that that is quite sore. Quite sore. So yeah, it would be a yes from me, but don't make that feel that it's like whatever you feel is right is actually right for you. What else have we got? Anything else? Any other questions on here? Laura, have you got any other questions to throw at me? Otherwise, it's going to be a short one today. No other questions coming through. So I am going to end this now because I need to clean my house. That is my reason. It's the truth. I'm the honest midwife. I'm not going to say I've got a meeting. I haven't. I'm just living in a hovel. So I need to clean my house. So that is it from me today, unless anything comes up in the next 5 seconds. There you go. That's it for today. Join me on the Insta Live as always. The next one is on Monday. Pretty sure it's next Monday. So yeah, join me then. And if you've got any other questions between now and then, either throw them over to your baby cook and they'll get them to me, or follow me at The Honest Midwife on Instagram. That's it. You're all good to go and have a lovely, lovely weekend.